Here we go again. Get ready for your 4K news breakdown, and we're here to answer your questions and more. I'm Tom Connors. With me is Valliant Renegade. How you doing?
Doing good, and good to be back on another Wednesday night with 4K for you, live at 5.
I love that. Zontar already firing in a super chat here. Look at this.
Awesome.
2000s anime produced in 480p are being released on Blu-ray with more episodes per disc uncompressed. 4K discs have a use even if they can't rescan or upscale. That's true.
Mhm.
I'm surprised a lot of those wouldn't have been done in film, though. That's strange.
Yeah, when you can squeeze so much more information on that disc, like I said, that's the big benefit is the less compression you have, the closer you're going to get to the original source.
Well, and I'm curious why they just didn't scan film. If it was animated, 9 times out of 10 it's done on film. But anyhow, that's good. That is true. I know, like in the UK, you can get the entire real Ghostbusters in standard definition on a couple of Blu-rays as opposed to a truckload of DVDs. So there is that. We got Duck Nation hanging out. Hopefully he's still here, letting us know that an Under Siege reboot is in the works at Warner Brothers for HBO Max. Oh, yay.
Why?
We've got Relic Turtle here. We got Space Cobral, if I'm saying that right. Yeah, and he's already bringing up the point we're going to talk about here today. We're going to get into that. We got Cosmic Squirrel here. We got Hamdinger. We got Heath Miller. We got SP4H. Rob Eltis is here. David Stout. Welcome all of you. SAXHBK is here as well as Kaylee D. How you doing? There she is, waving at us. We got Zontar, of course, as we said before. We got Mecha J. We got Lombardi 1969. Ghost Riders here. We have D. Bud Martin and so many more. Thank you for being here, guys. We appreciate it. Ghost Rider, as in writer, not writer, says, greetings, mortals. We got Hypocritical Nihilist here as well. Or Hypocritical, not Hypnocritical. I don't know where I came up with that. Of course, I got a half a mouthful of food here. It's supper time where I'm at. Yes, busy day today, Panther. Yes, it is, because right after this, I got to head over to Latino Slant Channel. We're going to talk about some Carlito's Way, which I've watched the 4K Blu-ray for the first time last night.
I have to finish it. It's sitting right back there. And it was another one of those things, like we were talking about another one earlier. It's I get halfway into it, and then kid stuff, family stuff happens, and I'm
well, I've had this for like 2 weeks since it came out, because I had it the week it came out. I actually got mine right away.
I did too, and that's what I'm saying. It's been on the list of like I've got to find time to sit down and just finish it. And the last 2 weekends have just been a blur, because Mrs. Renegade, who runs a music school, she's had between the last 2 weekends 6 performances with a theatrical show she was doing that I have to help run backstage with lights and sound. So it's like, I haven't had time in the last 2 weeks, but I've got to finish watching it. So far, what I've seen on Carlito's Way on that 4K disc, it looks great.
It is. It's amazing. They did fuck up the time. I don't know if you were listening this morning and Polly come in. I'm like, last night after I got done with Mead Radio, I'm like, I'll have a snack and I'll watch Carlito's Way because I got to watch it before today. Looked at the case and it says it's an hour and 32 minutes. Literally says that on the case. I'm like, I thought this movie was longer. Shit, I can knock out 90 minutes. Get into the movie about 90 minutes later. I'm like, this movie's way too far from being done.
Did it mean 132 minutes?
It's more like 144 minutes. Okay. So I don't know where they got that number from. It's not even like any
now I gotta look at
because it's 2 hours and 24 minutes long.
Wait a minute.
I'm like, where do you even get that number? It's like crazy. It's like I could see it if it was like 1 hour and 44 minutes if they fucked that up or something like that, because it's 144 minutes, like I said, or whatever. But
all right, so here we go. Let's
you look right on the back. It says hour and 32 minutes right on the back case there.
All right, let's see.
In the bottom corner.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Bottom right hand corner, I believe it's in.
And I'm looking at the slip cover. It might
I can't remember if it's on the case or the slip cover.
I don't think it's on the slip cover.
I think it's on the case.
Yeah, so I just pulled that off. Yeah, it's sure enough. That's what exactly
hour and 32 minutes.
It says I was thinking it's like maybe you read it. It's supposed to say 132 minutes. No, It says 1 hour. Well,
I checked like I think 5
it's supposed to mean
times.
132 minutes.
And it's not even that. It's 10 more minutes, 12 more minutes than that. So I'm like, I could understand if somebody fucked that up, right?
Right.
No. It's like this movie's almost 2.5 hours long. How do they get that number?
Yeah, usually you don't get these classic Al Pacino flicks, and they don't come in at 90 minutes. Ain't no way.
Well, I was just thinking, maybe it's a clipper. Like it's been a long, 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 long fucking time since I've seen it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, maybe it is a quicker movie.
It's like I knew when I got the Scarface 4K, and I watched that, I'm like, I'm gonna block out like 3 hours right now, because by the time I stop, I mean, it's just a long
Scarface
movie.
is 2 hours and 45 minutes long.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You gotta block 3 hours out for Scarface, man. But that was another one that looked amazing.
You need me. I'm the bad guy.
That's why I was excited about this one, because I'm like, they're doing a good job with these things.
No, but look-wise, the scan is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The sound is great. It's a DTS-X mix, which is basically their equivalent of Atmos. Yep. Sounds amazing.
Yep. DTS is who works a lot with like IMAX. It does a lot of the IMAX stuff. So it's just it's their own version of their uncompressed audio format for everybody out there watching.
Yeah, but I believe it's also object-based, just like Atmos is. It's a 7 point whatever or plus mix.
Yeah.
And then we got Steven, who says, "Hail, Tom and Valiant." Well, hail, Steven. How you doing? Then we got Ghost Rider, who asks, did we hear the rumor that Lucasfilm wants to replace Luke and Ahsoka now? Didn't KK try that with Rey and once already? I don't know about that, but then we're going to talk about 4K today. That's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah. I think Echo Base did a piece on that. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but check out Echo Base. See what they got going on when we're done here.
And we may talk about it later in the week if it's something that keeps popping up. But yeah, first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the Lucky Charms. Speaking of great 4Ks, that's also a wonderful release. But now that it looks like we got most people filing in here, let's run through our early parts of the news. I don't remember if we covered this last week, but No Time to Die will hit 4K on December 21st. It's out for rental right now, but the 4K Blu-ray will hit the market on December 21st. Criterion's first 4K release, Mulholland Drive, hit the market this week. So hopefully, for those who have had a chance to check that out, it lives up to the Criterion name, because I will be getting that soon as well. I just haven't got mine yet. I can't wait for Citizen Kane. That's the one I'm really interested in.
And that one, when is that one hitting?
First week in January, I think, if not second week. It's like early part of January.
I thought it was still a couple of months away.
It might be a little bit later in January. It's January. I know it's January. Okay. We got a date for The Last Duel, which is December 14th. That, of course, is the Ridley Scott film. Other than that, we had a few rumors, like Singing in the Rain, a couple other classics, but nothing solid, so I don't want to get too deep into those yet. On the non-4K, but potentially 4K side, this Nightmare on Elm Street box set from Shout keeps popping up. Now, last time I checked, my guy said there was no truth to it. Warner Brothers has been keeping Nightmare on Elm Street very close to the chest for two reasons. One being they want to do another reboot or sequel or remake or something, so they want to hold off until then. And two, for HBO Max, obviously, which it's on right now.
Mm-hmm.
But more art popped up again. And my buddy Greg over at Fanzine asked me about it. And initially, the art that popped up for these was like the first 4 or 5 films in 4K. Which, again, like I'm saying, if you're going to do these, do them right, get them out there in 4K.
Yeah.
I want all 7 of them in 4K. I don't care about the 2010 film, but at least the original 7 Freddy films. And Freddy versus Jason, if you could, would be nice. So 8 films, whatever. Mm-hmm. But then another picture of an entire box set, much in the vein of the Halloween and Friday the 13th box sets, dropped. And he asked me again, so I asked my buddy, and my buddy's like, I haven't heard anything, but then again, he cannot deny it because he hasn't really.
I'm sure it's one of those things. News. I mean, with a catalog title like that, I mean, they're working on it. I mean, I'm sure they're making the artwork. I'm sure they have all that.
The thing is,
it's a question of when are they actually going to put it out there.
Warner is very particular. And again, going back to what I had heard initially, between the Critters box set not selling as well as they had hoped, that was kind of a testing ground.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you notice, Warner's been real picky and choosy on what they've allowed him to have. But they gave him things like Exorcist 2 and 3. So I mean, it's not above the realm of possibility yet. But if you want to take a look at this, I'll bring up this picture here real quick. This is the one that's going around. Let me get the. I got all this. I should have had this ready. Sorry, guys. I was running so far behind today. But yeah, we're gonna probably talk about this later on the show I do with him. But just bring up the image. It's really fuzzy, unfortunately, so it's not the greatest of image, but it does go along with the previous Friday the 13th and Halloween box sets if it's real. As you can see, a poster there of the box art, the movies, including the remake. It doesn't look like Freddy versus Jason's in there though.
I wonder if there would be a licensing issue.
It shouldn't be. It's New Line. It's all
You
the
would think.
same.
I mean, now they're showing
But
Blu-ray cases there. They're not really
yeah,
showing.
see, and I don't have the picture of the 4K.
That's not a
ones.
4K case.
That's the thing, is they do have the original art that came out was for 4K. So I'm curious if they're going to have a 4K set and a complete box set of all the films, or if maybe only the first 4 are being remastered in 4K. That could be the case, because that is what happened with Friday the 13th. Only the first 4 were remastered in 4K. The rest weren't. And they could do that just because those. See, that's the thing, though. It's funny because oddly enough, like the highest grossing ones are the first one, of course, obviously. Second one did pretty well, but the third and fourth one are the highest grossing ones besides Freddy's Dead. If you don't count Freddy versus Jason, like those 3,
even with inflation adjustments, or is it just
with inflation adjustments? Yeah, just because the box office wise,
because
the first one, because the first one did I think like 40 or 50 million in its initial run. Second one I think did 30. Third one did like 39. The fourth one did 47, I want to say. The fifth one only did 27. Freddy's Dead did like 30 something, and the New Nightmare only did like 15. It was really bad.
I don't remember anybody. I mean, I remember seeing it, but it wasn't in the theater. I remember going to the theater to see Freddy's Dead because at that
Freddy's
point,
Dead did really well.
What year did that come out?
91.
91?
Yep, because I saw it in theater. That was the only Freddy movie I saw in theaters besides the remake, and I didn't get a chance to see New Nightmare in theaters.
I didn't think it was 90. I thought it must have been later than that because I feel like I'm almost positive I saw that in the theater. Well, maybe I did. Maybe I snuck in there. Because I was like 12 at that point.
Because Jason Goes to Hell was 93, I think. So
yeah.
But also Freddy versus Jason was in the Friday the 13th box set. But I'm just curious because if they're going to remaster them in 4K, I'd like them all, please and thank you. Right? But again, we'll see here how this goes. Usually the case being how these work is if they allow Shout to do this, it'll probably just be the Blu-rays, and then they'll use whatever 4K masters for their own usage. That's kind of how they generally run this. Normally they don't get both, but we'll see. That's an interesting rumor going around again, though, and I cannot deny it this time. So, but I can also not confirm. Your Muslim uncle says, "Hail all! There is a movie called The Message. It starred Anthony Quinn. Where could I find out about a 4K release? It is coming. I'm trying to remember if it's a 4K release, though. In fact, we just talked about it recently.
Let's see.
It's coming soon. I know this.
I see. Yes, there is a 4K.
I think it's going to be 4K. Yes.
I'm looking at it.
When does it say it's coming out? Because I know it's going to be.
It does not have a target date.
I think it's first quarter of next year, probably.
It says early 22 from Shout Factory.
Yep. I know it's been announced. So look for it in the first quarter of next year. You're good to go with that one, your Muslim uncle. It is finally coming. And speaking of the devil, here's Greg. How you doing? We were just talking about you. But we just finished that up. So again, I cannot confirm or deny, Greg, but we'll get into that a little bit more with you later on. The other bit of news was you got to watch a new movie this week. Or would you call it a movie? It's more of a Blu-ray album, which I know is interesting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I used to love these things. And as somebody who used to, again, work in high-end, audio and home theater stuff and selling it and designing it, installing it, all kind of, we had all kind of stuff that we used to demo. And I think we talked a little bit about this in the very first episode of 4K for You. But it was always, when DVD first came out in the late 90s, of course, you'd take a pick of running an action movie or whatever you had in the early DVD releases. But the great things were when they actually started releasing concerts. Like, I'll never forget, one of the things that we always ran in the store was the 1997 Eric Clapton Unplugged. I think it was an HBO concert, if I was HBO's Unplugged.
VH1.
VH1's Unplugged. Yes, thank you. And he had that great concert, and that DVD was outstanding.
Massive.
And yeah, I mean, the album was great, the DVD was great, and it's pissed me off for the last 24 years that they have not made a subsequent release of that in either Blu-ray or 4K. Nothing. You better have the DVD of it, because that's all there ever existed as far as I've ever been able to find. Then this gem came out. This is Eric Clapton in 4K, The Lady in the Balcony. And this is basically, it's a lockdown session. Couldn't do concerts for a year and a half like a lot of these artists did. Like, I have a Blu-ray of one of my favorite guys, Kenny Wayne Shepherd. He's a blues rock guy. People probably remember him for Blue on Black years ago.
I think he even made an appearance in Blues Brothers 2000, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember that movie very well, because I didn't care for it.
If it's the one guy I'm thinking of.
It could have been. I mean, Blues Brothers 2000, I mean, that was 20 years ago. Kenny Wayne Shepherd, he started in 96.
Yeah.
So yeah, he'd have been about 20 years old, because he's when
he got started, wasn't he like a young guitarist kind of thing?
Oh yeah, he was. His first album came out.
I'm pretty sure that was him.
He was 16 when his first album came out.
Then. Yeah,
he's my age. He's 40. He's like 42. But this is awesome. The quality of the 4K on this is great. Anybody who is a Clapton fan, there is a Blu-ray in there as well. I will say this is definitely one of the more expensive Blu-rays you'll buy. It's $35 on Amazon right now. But it's music but it's
what do you think I used tip for last night?
There you go. I'm glad you put it to good use. So excuse me, and I'm still getting over a cold.
Send me the link so I can make sure I got it.
Yeah. So you get the Blu-ray and you get the 4K disc in here.
Now, this is also out on CD as well, I saw.
It is. In fact, I already have it in my Apple Music library, because I pay the monthly family subscription because we use it so much. But you get a very nice little book in here, an art book, and, kind of some messages from Clapton. So what they did was Clapton went out. I want to make sure I get the name of this place right. It's in the UK where they did this. And, they wanted to go do this at like Royal Albert Hall and all these kind of places, these famous places, couldn't do it. And they wound up finding this place in Buck Hall is where the room they were in. And I'm trying to find the name of the darn house. Oh shucks, I'll find it in a minute. But anyway,
right.
They went out, they basically rented this place out in the country, in the UK, and just picked a set, and they went through it. In fact, it's got a lot of the songs he did at the 1997 Eric Clapton Unplugged. And it was great. I mean, he starts off with Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out, and he just kind of goes from there. And the whole thing is just, they're all just sitting around in this room, this great big giant open space. The acoustics are gorgeous. It's uncompressed, it's uncompressed audio. I have not run it in surround sound. I listen to it on my upscale 2-channel system here. But it looks great. It sounds awesome.
Dolby Atmos mix or whatever.
Yeah, it does. It's got a Dolby Atmos mix. It's got DTS HD. So you can kind of pick your poison, what kind of format you like. I haven't listened to all of them. There is a great 2-channel PCM down mix of it, which is what I used in this. I was just blown away. I sat here probably Friday night last week or something, Saturday night, and just kicked back and chilled out and cranked this thing up. It was the only person here was Renegade Jr. The daughters were out, the wife was out. So I'm like, yeah, we're going to go all the way up. And it's awesome. So if you're a Clapton fan, and even if you don't have a 4K player, if you just got a Blu-ray player, it has a Blu-ray disc in it. Like I said, go get this thing.
It should come with a digital code, but now I'm curious, because I've not really gotten into this digital music stuff too much, because I'm not a big fan. Mm-hmm. But now I know this is kind of off topic from what we talk about, but
it's all right.
Now the thing you get from iTunes, now you pay like a monthly base subscription and you actually get to download the MP3s, or how does that work?
Yeah, you can download them.
How much is it a month?
Okay, I don't know separate. I pay. Here's what I do.
You pay like a yearly subscription.
No, I have the $30 a month Apple One.
Oh, that's
service.
not too bad.
Now that's everything. That's Apple
All right.
TV, that's Apple Arcade, that's Apple
Okay.
News, that's Apple Music, and it's family sharing. And I
Now
have
is
2.
Amazon Music like this? Does anybody know?
Yes. Yes, because I have
Okay,
that too.
so now if I get that, because like I do get some of my albums sometimes for Mead Radio off of Apple Music, just because the only place I can find them.
Mhm.
And I don't like to do anything but at least legally pay for them and all that
Sure.
kind of business. So I was curious if I just get a subscription if it's cheaper, because I buy 3 albums, that's $30 right there
Yeah,
more.
well, for you as a single user, I think it's still $9.99 a month.
Okay, well I'll have to
Yeah.
check that out then. I'll have to look
And
into that.
Amazon's like, I pay Amazon. I have Amazon Prime, like most of us do. And you get Amazon Music in that. I pay the
Well, I have to
extra.
do extra to get Amazon Music, but
Oh, do
yeah,
you? Okay.
I think
For
so.
some, I have Amazon Music with Prime. Now, all I did was I paid the extra. I think it's a limited library, is what it is, but I paid the extra
Okay.
$100 a year, and I get Amazon HD. So it's the much higher grade audio files that you gain access to from that. Now, Apple is now doing the same thing with their service. They're providing the same kind of thing. And both, I think, work the same way, to where if you subscribe, if you want to download the MP3 onto a device so you don't have to
Yes.
have an internet linkage, you can do it. Of course, it's only going to work through the proprietary either
Oh, see, that
iTunes
was not what I
software.
want. No.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. I see that's what I kind of, well, I put it this way: try it, try it. It can't hurt. Spend $10 and figure
Right.
and see if it works.
I just soon if I'm gonna if I'm gonna
I
pay
think
for
as
anything, like,
long as you
yeah.
maintain the subscription,
Because
you're gonna
like
be
I like
okay.
to be able to actually have the because for me to be able to do it through the thing, I have to have the file to
Right.
yeah. But
Right.
anyway, I'll look into that later. That's a totally other subject. But Cody guy is
Mhm.
telling us we have a culture raid. So welcome all of you all
Awesome.
coming over from Culture's house. Samurai Vader sent us in $5. He says the anime industry does not seem to want to invest money on scanning those film prints, or are incapable of doing so, or they're just lost. I'm more than willing to bet it's probably the latter. Considering how well anime and things sell, and when you're selling things like Cowboy Bebop at Walmart, I mean, that tells me things are selling. Yeah, so the money's there, the demand is there, but I'm willing to bet it's probably more of the latter, that the original negatives and film is probably lost. And depending on how they handled things, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. Especially once something gets 10-20 years old, it's hard to say. And most things in the 80s and 90s were all mastered on videotape. So unless they have the original film negative somewhere, then chances are you're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
So yeah, and yeah, and I know, Sanders, CDs are so cheap. In most cases, I can buy used, even ones cheaper.
Oh yeah.
But go ahead and try and find one.
Well,
Especially if a new release, you're even
new
shit. More
releases,
shit,
yeah,
yeah,
it's tough, but older stuff, like we have a Second and Charles, around that has all that kind of people just get rid of their CD collections or
right.
their and you just go there and you pilfer through old CDs,
There's
old
been some
records.
stuff that skipped over CD and went straight to digital. Like I've got like albums that I have on LP that I know are not on CD, but
Mhm,
they have the digital versions, and I've been tempted on certain ones because I want that more cleaner quality version of it, right? I
mhm,
tend to try and get a CD and a vinyl of each if I can. And most music, if it's digital, I won't buy a vinyl anyway. So,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
anyhow,
and I see real quick Rob Altus in the chat out there asking me if I like Tab Benoit. Yeah, because Tab Benoit's from here in Louisiana, man. We all know who he is.
and Sander, yeah, I try online, but in the US, the US market does not love music as much as the foreign market does. Same thing with almost every kind of physical media, buddy. That
Mhm.
is a like the US treats physical media like it's the redheaded stepchild of the industry. Yet that's one of the reasons this show exists, because this year we had one of the biggest booms in home media, not just because of
Yeah.
on the sales side of things because of people being home, but on the production side of things, even though we have no plants left.
Think of
Uh,
how thin the number of releases were last year.
ex- yeah,
I
compared to this year.
Compared to this, yeah, it's like and weird. That's why I started doing the show, and you're telling me it's like, oh, this is coming out. This I'm like, Jesus, this is back to like 2-3 years ago.
Oh, and there's
I've
a
got
handful of rumors I'm not even going to get into. I'm just going to save them for next time because we're kind of on a time crunch anyway. But yeah,
yeah, definitely, yeah. It's good to have all this
the
stuff
early
back.
part of next year is already shaping up to be very exciting. But speaking of the Batman, somebody asked earlier, I don't think they'll ever rescan the Batman animated series in 4K. I just don't think there's the money in it. But we are getting the Batman series, the animated one, the from a couple of years back. That one's coming February 1st, but it's not a 4K release. I just thought I'd throw that out there since somebody was brought it up. Because Batman Beyond and the original animated series are already on Blu-ray, so there you go. And right now, yes, I'm glad Planet brought this up. I was going to bring this up anyway. He was reading my mind. If you are a fan, now's the time. Amazon, Walmart, Best Buy have a shit ton, and I mean a shit ton.
It is Black Friday month.
I wish we had an Amazon link ready, but we don't have one yet. Yeah. But you got everything from the brand new film The Green Knight's going for $9.99 in 4K. Godzilla vs. Kong is going for $9.99 on 4K. You can get the Justice League trilogy for $55.99 right now on 4K. Gattaca is only $9.99. The Forever Purge, V for Vendetta, all for $9.99. F9, tons and tons and tons of newer.
I know
4K
one
films.
Box set I've already got my eye on. I'm going to go. Yeah. I mean, it's not on 4K. It's on Blu-ray, but I'll take it. But it's Sherlock from the BBC.
Yeah, I saw that one here too. Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Nobody is also another new one I wanted to bring up. Yeah, that one's also $9.99. And I
bought that a couple months ago. But I'm glad I got it a couple months ago because I enjoyed that movie so much.
You can pick up Ghostbusters right now. It's not the Steelbook that everybody wants to get their hands on from back in the day, but that's also $9.99 right now, and so is 300.
Home Alone.
Home Alone.
Perfect in time for the holiday season.
Yeah,
and not the new one,
not that crappy new one.
The real one.
I've watched bits and pieces of that piece of shit.
Yeah,
let me tell you what.
I didn't even give it a second.
No, Elysium's going for $9.99 too right now. I wish I'd have waited.
There's so much. I'm looking at the
Joker's going for $9.99 right now. You can get the Alfred Hitchcock 4K Classics collection, which includes Rear Window, Vertigo, Psycho, and The Birds for only $35 right now, kids. That's a hell of a deal. There's a couple other ones I've been waiting for to be cheaper, but I did pick up a few. I grabbed a few that I didn't have already that I've been waiting for. So a couple of the ones I've been waiting for. You can get Space Jam right now for $9.99 as well.
The original one.
The original one. Nobody cares about the other one.
Yeah, no, it's just stipulating for the audience.
we don't talk about that.
No, and I mean, like last year, I see like they've got
Die Hard too as well.
Mission Impossible Fallout for $8.
Yeah, you can get the entire. Well, on Blu-ray, you can get the entire Mission Impossible.
I bought the whole 4K box set last year, I think on Black Friday, and I think I spent $30 on all 6 movies. Something like that. It's stupid, just stupid. Yeah. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So this is, guys, to the point that Tom's made. This is the time of year that if you want to build your physical media library, this is when you go batshit, because stuff right now, it's like I said, these deals are already out there, and they're only going to get as we get closer to Black Friday, they're only going to get better and more. So there's going to be, so you just have to watch it. You can go to Amazon or I've been
using Blu-ray.com. Yeah.
Blu-ray.com is what I was going to say, because they link everything in. You go to one page and they say, here's all the movies that are on Black Friday blast right now. And they update it several times a day. They're tied into the Amazon website. So, and of course, if you click the link through their website, it helps them out. So
it helps them out. But someday, hopefully, I hope we we are in the works of trying to get our own Amazon link, so then you guys can help us out.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Buy the stuff out that way. But without further ado, let's get into the main bit of news here. The first topic of the day is the Mad Max news. I was supposed to get this, but I haven't got my hands on it yet. You said you haven't got it yet either, correct?
No, I have not.
Yeah. Well, it turns out there's a bit of a sound issue. I guess this is only on Mad Max 2. I thought it was on all 3 films, but re-looking into it, I guess it's only Mad Max 2. So Road Warrior. So I should have picked a better picture for the for the show, but oh fucking well. Maybe I'll fix it for the re-upload. The audio problem, according to Bill Hunt of the Digital Bits, it appears that the Mad Max 2, which promised a new Dolby Atmos mix as well as the previous 5.1 and original 2.0 audio tracks, does indeed include a new Dolby Atmos mix, but that mix alters many sound effects and is missing a number of others. And if those who remember, this is not something new to Warner Brothers. They have done this many times over, more recently with the Batman films, or at least the first Batman movie I know, and Superman and a few others in the past. But the problem is the 5.1 and 2.0 art tracks are there. They're just not the original tracks. They're the fold downs of the new Atmos mix. Now, for those who know what I'm talking about, people had similar issues with Psycho recently. So for those who are not too happy, I mean, now granted, Psycho was a little bit different situation because they didn't add as much to Psycho. Like most of what was there, so like the fold down you got from Psycho was technically close to the original mono mix, but yeah, this is something that has been upsetting people for a while. And even myself, who I usually go with whatever the new mix is, and I'm not that big of a stickler on sound effects per se, like a gunshot or a punch here and there don't bother me, or car crash, whatever. Now, if it's something specific to a prop or something like that in the film where the sound is important, that would bother me. But like when it comes to just certain ambient sounds, I'm willing to let that slide as long as it immerses me in the experience more. That's all that matters to me. But I understand purists at heart. I understand people who not only want the original sound mix in its original form, whether it be mono, 2-track, whatever, you know, even if you're doing a certain upgrade, you know, you should do one that is more true to the original mix for those people. And
at least have it as an option.
Yeah. So it looks like it's only on the second film, not all of the films. So keep that in mind, kids.
And it's entirely possible there's something that may have prevented them from going back, you know, to get that original.
I would like to believe that, but this has been a common problem with Warner Brothers. And in other words, I don't plan on them fixing it.
No. At this point, what's done is done. But I wonder what they're doing that all of a sudden they're, because, you know, they come out with some of these discs.
Laziness, I think.
Yeah, older films, it's like, you know, they make it, hey, we've got the original monaural track on here or something like that. You know, so
well, that's the thing is a lot of companies are generally pretty good about doing that, specifically the boutique companies, right? But, you know, I mean, it can get aggravating, especially people who grew up with Batman and they know what the original sound effects sound like. And that one I know specifically, I can tell the differences a little bit more. Now I don't have the movie, so I can't tell you what's different, and I haven't seen Road Warrior enough times to really probably tell. And I've probably seen it more times on DVD, and I don't know how many, if they've altered the sound already previously before this. Because as far as I know, the versions I've had have always had like a 5.1 mix outside of my cassette, which I think also had a fold down of that 5.1 mix. Because I don't think I've ever had an old cassette of this movie. So, because notoriously they've been really hard to come by in the US until DVD and stuff like that. But as far as I know, the other 2 movies are not, or 3 movies aren't affected, because I think it also comes with Mad Max 4 if you get the box set. But keep that in mind, kids.
The new one, yeah. That's why I just ordered the individual discs, because I already have Fury Road. And I was like,
I don't have Fury Road in 4K, and it was so much cheaper just to buy the box set. That's why.
Well, see, I've got Fury Road in 4K. In fact, I think I bought that one last year, Black Friday, for like $9 or something. Yeah, so that's why I was like, there's no use in buying it again, even though it cost me an extra like $2. But I was like, I don't need to buy the same movie again, because then it's another one I have to get rid of or sell, or, you know, just, it's like, I'll just spend the extra $2 and not duplicate what I already have.
All right, I was just responding to something real quick.
Right.
So, yeah, that's the case with that. Yeah, it's not like a huge deal, but it is an aggravating situation. And speaking of aggravating situation, that's where our next story comes in. I know we were talked about last week that Pirates of the Caribbean was coming to 4K, and that was something we were all kind of excited about. We asked, well, where's the rest of the movies, right? Well, it turns out that if you live in the UK, you'll be getting a 5-movie Ultra HD 4K box set of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Why?
But not here, or I guess actually in Australia, I should say. Australia.
Yeah, it's not in the US. That's all we know.
Not in the US. Yeah. Okay, well then Bill Hunt of the Digital Bits reached out to Disney. And here's the thing. Bill has always been pretty positive when it comes to the studios, tries to always look at the bright side of things. And we all kind of knew and read between the lines with Disney's kind of wording of things and how they were going to go forward with Blu-ray. And we've been kind of surprised at some of the Blu-rays we got on them. Let me be clear on that. Like, I'm surprised we're getting Roger Rabbit and a few others here soon. But I'm not surprised when they responded to him that they basically had no real plans in the future to release Pirates 2, 3, and I think 4 have never been available in 4K here in the US. And
yeah, just that fifth one they made years later.
I think the fifth one I think was
in
4K. But so basically, yeah, you're shit out of luck if you don't want to import them, is what it sounds like. And it doesn't sound like Disney plans on doing anything about that. They just plan on releasing the first one, and that's it. And this is where I was kind of figuring we weren't going to get any more of the Die Hard movies on Blu-ray either. And we'll be lucky if we get any more of the Alien movies on Blu-ray as well. On 4K, I mean.
I hope not. I mean, in terms of, I hope it does happen. Let me say, I hope not, in the sense that I hope they don't just, just bypass it and just streaming only. No, I don't want that. I want the discs.
Well, because I do have like the Die Hard movies in 4K, and I believe they actually do have an HDR grading on them, because I think Fox did them all at the same time, but they only got the first one out before Disney bought them.
Yeah.
And so like I have them on digital, but I don't have them on disc. I only have the first one on disc.
Yeah, I understand.
So they're done.
They want to force people into, watch it on streaming and this and that.
Disney Plus. Yep.
Yeah, I think there's still a market to have both, because as long as, and this has been Disney's problem, and let me posit this theory, is that I think, or at least I hope, one of the things that Chapek said on the earnings call last week was, in order to maintain the subscribers you have, a robust library does a great job of that. But in order to bring new subs in, you need a constant parade of new content. They've been stuck in limbo, obviously, for the last year and a half with producing that content. That's now all coming up to a head now. So in the next 12 months, there'll be a ton of new content coming on Disney Plus. Point being, I hope this will allow them to open up the floodgates a little bit more in this classic library and produce some of this physical media, because if the driving force at that point is a wealth of new content, then hopefully some of these things like Aliens, Die Hard, especially some of these Fox properties they bought, go ahead and put them on physical media, because you'll probably make several million more, that people, they're not going to cancel their Disney Plus because you put Die Hard out or Aliens out on 4K.
The only reason I think those are still possibilities because they're R-rated.
Right. Well, yeah, those aren't going to go on Disney Plus. They would go on FX or Hulu or whatever other library that Disney is going to carve out.
And I don't even know if Hulu can handle 4K yet.
That's a good question. I don't watch it enough. I have to ask my wife.
Yeah, I don't really use it enough.
Yeah. She watches.
I only have it because I have it under that cheap thing, and if I cancel it, I know if I sign back up, it's going to cost me that much extra. So
I've got.
I have it at the $5 thing or whatever. Yeah,
the bundle with ESPN Plus. I
don't even have it in a bundle. I just had it so long that I had this grandfathered in price.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
That if I cancel it though,
yeah,
like it even said it right there in the print that I have to sign back up at the $9.99 or $14.99 or whatever it is, unless I get the bundle like you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking for. I mean, I want Aliens. I want.
And Cartoon Man, Alien already has been out on 4K for years. It's it's none of the other ones that have. Aliens has a problem is that I think James Cameron has to sign off on it.
That's we were talking about that before. Yeah.
Now they could do 3 and 4 and whatever if they wanted to, but who wants?
He's got his head so buried in Avatar 2 for the last 15 years or whatever.
And I guess Hulu does support 4K, so that's good to know.
There you go.
There you go. I see. I don't watch it enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this doesn't bode well for fans of Disney films in general that are not even just under the Disney banner, but Fox and any other Touchstone and other titles. I mean, we've been getting sporadic ones, and I'm sure that's just kind of how it's going to be from here on out. And I'm sure that all depends on how they play on Disney Plus. Like, I'm not surprised with this new. Now, again, like they just dumped all the IMAX versions of a bunch of movies of the Marvel movies on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't pull some box set out of those soon, because as I said before, I didn't even know Iron Man had IMAX footage. That's the only one that was kind of giddy about. Other than that, I'm kind of pissy because the other 3D versions of all the films have always been the IMAX versions, except for two exceptions. Infinity War and Endgame, for some fucking reason, were not the IMAX versions of all the movies they did in 3D. They were all IMAX versions of all the other movies, no exceptions except for those two. And those two are now in the IMAX versions on Disney Plus. So we're like, you sons of bitches.
Well, I tend to think they're going to stay there on Disney Plus.
You might be right.
Kevin Street brought up something in the chat a little bit ago, talking about, good point. Physical media isn't competing with streaming. It comes and goes with a limited life. Physical media comes and goes with a limited lifetime. Yes, streaming theoretically is forever. So I want to make a distinction talking about these older catalog titles like Aliens and Die Hard.
Right.
Those things work. They'll put those out, I think, on 4K, which you will never see on 4K, or the properties that they make proprietary for Disney Plus in this case. So, like, if people out there like, man, I'd love to get a 4K box set of The Mandalorian, ain't never gonna happen.
Not likely.
That's the kind of stuff. That's the difference. So these older things,
maybe enough years
stuff
down the line when it's no longer.
Yeah, maybe like 10 years from now, something.
Yeah,
like
5, 10 at least, because
but I mean, by
it's
that
not a draw.
Yeah, we don't know what the state of physical media in terms of new physical media.
There's that point as well. And Stanley, you're not wrong on this, but it all depends on what format they put it in. I know sometimes it's a little bit closer to a 16:9, 185 kind of thing. But they're doing the 185 thing with these. I don't know if that's the true full format they filmed them in or not, but that's the compromised format, like the Christopher Nolan films.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about that last time with The Dark Knight. And you watch it on the screen, and it can be a little jarring where it goes from here's your 2:3:5 aspect ratio, and all of a sudden, bang, 16:9, and then back to 2:3:5, and then it's not terribly frequent, but there's probably about 5 or 6.
Depends on the movie, yeah.
Yeah, in that particular movie, in The Dark Knight,
there's some of them in like the Guardians of the Galaxy one. I'm just, why didn't they just film this one? Because so much of it's an IMAX. You're just like. It's almost
at that point, it's like just do the rest of it. Just be done with it. Just God. Well, but they also wanted to. Was that the first or the second one?
I can't remember which one, but one of them has almost a complete movie is almost an IMAX. The first one I think has like the most scenes outside of this. I think the second one is almost in complete IMAX.
I think the second one, because I remember they made a big thing about the second one. I think that was the one.
Yeah, I mean it has still some, but it's mostly IMAX. It was
okay because they always talked about in that one. This is the one where they first used the red Helion, which is a 6K camera, have a bunch in it 6K too. I don't know. Digital camera. Yeah.
And I didn't get to see Infinity War, so I can't speak on Infinity War Endgame because I have never seen the IMAX versions of those. So yeah, and you're right. It is almost like the old TV aspect ratio, but there's a compromise they do, and it just depends.
Yeah, it's not quite 4:3, but it's closer. It's right in between. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did get a little bit of an update on the Nightmare on Elm Street thing. Even if it is true, it's looking at like a 2-year timetable just because of how backed up everything is. My guy pointed out. So, and I have not heard of any of them anywhere being in any facilities, and I usually get kind of rumors coming through,
When did the Blu-ray box set come out? Wasn't that on an anniversary?
Nightmare on Elm Street? The original one? Oh, God, that was back in
2019. It came out. That's why it was the 35th anniversary. So here you go. Here's my bet, 2024, because that will be.
That's about right.
40 years, because I looked it up. It's 1984. That'll be 40 years from the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
Considering the time of the year, that's 2 years. That's about right with that window.
So there you go, folks. You heard it here first. We're betting 2024 for Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, we'll see. If not, they'll maybe try and edge it in for the end of next year's or end of 2023 for Halloween, perhaps, just because. But we'll see. But all right, I think that was the two main topics we had today. Was there anything else that you knew about that was coming? I'm trying to remember. Was there anything else?
Nothing that really. I like you said. I think we kind of hit the high points as far as things of big interest that are at least immediately on the horizon.
We can grab some questions, of course.
Absolutely. The Pirates. Look, I was a big Pirates of the Caribbean fan. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm going to try to get a UK copy or an Australian copy. I've got region free players, so I mean it's kind of like I did with the John Carpenter box set because I wanted 4K of The Fog and Prince of Darkness. I'm like, well, I can't get that here. I can get They Live, but I can't get the other ones. So I was like, okay, I'll buy the UK version and I play them on the machines. I'm fine. So if that's what I got to do, I'll do it.
Prince of Darkness just came out not too long ago, actually.
As a single in the US.
4K, yeah. Shaw did it.
Okay. Good.
But yeah, well, the beauty is 4K is region free regardless, and then you're just talking about for the Blu-ray special features and all that stuff. You got
yeah. It used to be so and they started that with DVDs, folks, way back when. Where it's like you bought it in region 1. That disc would only work in a US player with a US disc, and fortunately it's kind of fallen apart since then as we progressed.
Yeah. Yes, a 4K is region free. The 4K discs are, yep. But 9 times out of 10, they put all the special features and shit on the Blu-ray only.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, on the Blu-ray stuff, and then that's where you get in trouble. So,
yeah. Let's see here.
I tell you, I'll just as a fun little piece of history, and I'm almost tempted to go grab it, but it's on the other side of the house. First time I ever bought anything that was non-US in terms of media, because for whatever bizarre reason, it was the same issue. Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. They did not release a Laserdisc copy in the US. I don't know why Lucas chose not to do it. No Laserdisc in the US. I went onto eBay, and I don't remember how much I paid for it. It's probably $50-$60. And of course, this is back in 90. When did it come out? 97, 98, something like that. And I bought
99 actually.
99. Okay, 99.
And the video that didn't come out till 2000, but yeah.
Yeah, but I got a copy of a Laserdisc. It was a Japanese.
Yeah, Japanese. Yeah,
Japanese. I still have it, and everybody laughed because, like, when I would play it, like, oh man, this looks a lot better than the VHS and all this. I'm like, well, yeah, because at the time he hadn't put them on. The DVDs came years later.
Right.
Years later, and like, oh, it looks so much better. But they would get to the pod racing scene. And when you had the aliens talking, at the pod race, instead of having the English subtitles, it was in
Japanese.
Katakana and kanji.
Oh, was it?
And it was great. It threw people off. What the hell is that? Oh, it was great. So that was, but I've bought those imports before when I've had no other choice.
Well, Darth Hoster says need some Blu-rays of the Puppet Master series. Well, there you go. That's what I got right there in front of your face. Nice wooden box.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never really got into that series, but I mean, that's an impressive set.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I think you can still get that, and then I think there's been a couple movies since then, but yeah, it's a nice box set. You can even get more of the little figures to fill it in too, but they're not cheap either. They're like $12 or so a piece. I'm like, fuck that for little rubber guys. I've got the other figures. Yeah, I'll probably show that one of these days on my physical media pick for the week on Fanzine's channel. One of these days, I'd planned on it. But yeah, so let's see if we can get some quick questions from the chat.
I don't know where we are down the line, but I see Simon Parkin. I know.
What's he got?
Talked about that one before. Talking about a solo release of Lawrence of Arabia in 4K.
Oh, is that one of the only ones that hasn't been released yet?
I've been looking for that because I didn't know if I really wanted to get the whole box
I think there was only like 1 or 2 of them that hasn't.
Yeah, and of course that'd be one of the ones they would hold back because that's probably one of the biggest.
The box sets are fucking worth it though, especially if you can find them for under $100.
Well, that's just it, and this is not a bad time to look at it, but I don't see.
Well, the first box set was really limited, and I know they did some reprints because I think
there is an image on Blu-ray for a solo 4K Lawrence of Arabia. Well, no, it's just a placeholder. It says no release date. So
I was gonna say I think that's the only one that. Maybe there's one other one out of there that hasn't put.
Yeah, I mean,
I did hear though that with the second set, I'm not so sure they're going to do the individual releases right away, or at least for a while, because the second set they just come out with, the red box, that one I heard they did a lot more copies of because they underestimated the first set.
I would believe it,
and that's part of the reason I heard that they put out single releases too.
Oh, I'm sure.
So yeah, like I can recommend it. Like the second box set, they all got, both of them have like decent enough titles for most people. Out of the 6 titles, you can find at least, I think, an average person can find 4 that they like. For the price, it's
yeah. I mean, for that one, Lawrence of Arabia, Doctor Strangelove, those are my 2 top ones in there.
Yeah, but it also has like A League of Their Own. It has
Yeah,
a
Mr.
couple
Smith
other
Goes
ones.
to Washington.
Mr. Smith Goes to
Gandhi.
Washington. I loved Gandhi's in there.
Yeah, no, it's got some good titles. I mean, not every one of them were like big fan, but I mean,
No, the
yeah, this
second
is.
box set was really good though too, because
Here's
that
the
one's
problem:
got.
$289.
That's what I'm saying right now. Is this the first box set? I think is completely out of print.
Yeah.
So unless you can find it for a good price, that sucks.
Yeah, it's go on eBay and be patient and see if somebody sells one.
Pretty much. But if you can get your hands on that second box set, I would before it does go out of print. I did hear though that they did do a few more of these in preparation. So that tells me they might not release as many of these as singular discs. Like out of this new box set, I'd be surprised if anything more than like the Social Network probably will get a singular release.
Yeah.
I don't know about Stripes. I don't know about Anatomy of a Murder and a couple of the other ones in there. I'm just not so sure if I see those getting the singular releases.
Yeah.
They might, but
yeah. See, that one's still not. That one's about $100.
Yeah, that one right now you can get on sale for $100. Yeah,
right.
It's normally
but the
130,
first one with Lawrence of Arabia, $300.
Good luck. Sorry, guys. Yeah, if that's the case, I know I barely got mine at the last grasp because I heard they had printed a few more box sets, and mine was actually one of the ones that was printed upside down. So I haven't actually.
Now it's worth even more.
It might actually be. I don't know. I don't know how rare it is, but the spines are printed upside down on it. But yeah, so hopefully you guys get that eventually. And Andre, yes, the Godfather trilogy is coming eventually. It is on the docket. Francis has scanned all his films in, I believe, 6K actually. And as we talked about last week with Outsiders, Robert Meyer Burnett did confirm with me that he did reconstruct the Godfather as well, just like he did that. So they're in preparation. I think the whole Coda thing was a teaser for it because they did not bring out a 4K version of Coda on digital or on disc. So my guess is that'll come in a big, massive box set. And I hope he does, like, not only do I hope we get the 3 films and the Coda version, which I could care less about that one, but what I do hope we get is that massive recut of the first 2 films with all the additional scenes recut in chronological
order like they used to play on like cable channels and stuff. Yeah.
Because they actually did start showing that on HBO a couple of years back too, right when he was remastering all those. So that also made me think, hey. And then when the way he did the Outsiders, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
I was about to say that. It's just like that was kind of a premonition as far as I was concerned for what we could see with The Godfather in 4K. And look, that's something to where if he put, take the original 3 films as their theatrical release, put in another set in there of just what you said, doing the chronological cut of 1 and 2, I'd spend some money on that. I would absolutely spend some money on that. I mean, for that, I'd go $100 for that kind of set for those 3 films.
Yeah, especially if you get all the couple different cuts and all that kind of stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Like, give me everything and take.
Well, and he did that with Apocalypse Now. We got all the different cuts. It was a beautiful set. And I'm assuming we'll get the same thing here. Francis has been doing an amazing job. And of course, he's getting up there in years. I'm sure he wants to make sure everything's kind of.
Oh, he wants his legacy intact. He wants to leave everybody with the best thing he possibly can before he checks out, and his estate winds up dealing with it, or his daughter. What's her name? Can't
Sophia or one of the other ones.
Is it Sophia Coppola?
Yeah.
The one who was in Godfather 3 that played Mary, folks. Yeah. So yeah.
We don't want her messing with him. And as far as I know, the Heart of Darkness is in the box set I got, Joshua. I know there's some now I know depends on where you're from, Josh. I don't know if you're from the US. If you're not from the US, there are some places where Studio Canal only released like a single disc version or some shit like that. But in the US, the only version that's out there is the 4 or 5 disc version that I got. And I'm 99% sure it's got Heart of Darkness in it. Now, it may not be in 4K, but it's still HD at least. But all 3 versions of the movie are in 4K. That I know. You get the original theatrical cut, you get the Redo cut, and you get his final cut, which is kind of a mix between the 2. So there you go. Oh, is it 6 discs? Yeah, I knew it was like massive.
It's like Blade Runner with the 15 different cuts.
Because
I mean,
you get 3 versions of the 4K movies. You get the 3 versions on Blu-ray plus the bonus features and Heart of Darkness. So like you got all these discs. Yes, it's amazing.
mm-hmm.
I could dub the Godfather if I had to. What movie was it? Oh, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. They actually redid some dubbing for that recently in the new version.
You know, they where was I watching it on? Oh, it was on HBO Max, right? Isn't it right now?
It might be.
Yeah,
Which
no, it
version
is
it though?
That's what I'm trying to remember now.
Because the theatrical cut is available in 4K right now, but the restored version they did, God, almost 10 years ago now. Not even.
They put, I know, yeah, it was on HBO Max.
They actually had like Clint and what's his face come back in and do voice, and then they had some other guy come in and do for Lee Von Cleef because he's gone.
Yeah.
But they had to pick up some stuff for all the additional scenes.
I don't remember if that's the one I watched, because, and the reason I remember it is because it's on HBO Max, because when they put Cry Macho out, they basically elevated a lot of the Clint Eastwood titles that they had in the catalog up to, you know, the front of the line in terms of the HBO Max interface. So when you had Cry Macho, you had all these other Clint Eastwood titles right below it, and that was one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the extended cut. It's been a few years, and I tested it up against the 4K version, and it still holds up pretty good. That's one of the few discs MGM did a good job on, but that's because they had to reconstruct it from top to bottom, and the new Kino Lorber disc is coming from that same master. So it's kind of like and it adds like 20 minutes of footage. It's like, and
it was already a long movie.
Yeah, and they actually had, like I said, they had, what's the other actor, guys? Help me out here. The other actor besides Lee Von Cleef and Clint Eastwood that was in the movie. He's also in The Godfather 3. God damn it.
Yeah, oh yeah, because he plays
the Ugly. Come on, what's his name?
I know.
I can see the shot on screen right now, and I'm like, what is his fucking name?
He sits there, yeah, he dies eating a cannoli in the opera house at the end of.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
But they had him and Eli Wallach. Thank you so much, Rob.
Yeah, somebody had to Google it. Thank you, Rob.
Yes, Eli Wallach. They had Eli Wallach and Clint Eastwood actually come back in and do their ADR for this new version.
Okay.
And it might actually not even been that long ago. It was because I don't think is Eli Wallach passed now? I think he passed like last year or the year before.
He had to have. He was damn near 80 years old.
No, I know, but like, yeah, it was really cool though, because they finished off the movie with all the stuff that never got put in and stuff. It was really kind of cool. But yeah, so that's out there.
Simon Parkin's suggestion that they would love to hear Tom, Jesse, Doomcock, and the rest of the crew doing a reading of The Godfather. Do you have any idea what you're asking to happen? Do you have any idea how long that stream would go? It'll be twice as long as the movie. I promise you that.
We gotta remember, every time we do a script reading, yeah, that's exactly it. It takes us twice as long as the actual movie.
That is unless there's a lot of they fight.
Yeah, Tom's already auditioned for Brando apparently, so I'll take my shot at either James Caan or Michael. I'll take.
That's one of my voices I do all the time because I don't like to wear pants.
I think Jesse would make a perfect Talia Shire.
Brando would never read. He would never memorize his lines either. In fact, 9 times out of 10, he would never read the script. And he would have them posted all over the fucking place. In fact, in Superman the movie, when he's talking to Kal-El as he's putting him in the ship, his lines are pinned to the kid's diaper. Because he never read the script until the day he come on, and he goes to Tom Mankiewicz, I think it was. He goes,
I read the script yesterday.
He goes, what? You didn't read it till yesterday? He goes, yeah, I was afraid it was going to be crap. He goes, yeah, and he goes,
this thing's a fucking Valentine. He goes, this thing's a fucking Valentine to Superman, and I'm so glad to be here.
You know, he's just all gushing then, but like he's like before that, he's like, I was just afraid it was gonna be crap. And you gotta remember, they hadn't done these superhero movies before, you know. So on the waterfront 4K, isn't that out already? Or am I thinking of Bridge on the River Kwai? I think.
Yeah, well, I've got Bridge on the River Kwai. I can assure you that is out, but I don't know about On the Waterfront. I'm gonna look right now.
There was a couple of classic ones that were announced recently. There's a Criterion of that.
On
4K
the waterfront,
UHD.
no,
Not yet.
nothing showing up in the search.
No.
In fact, the
Don't-
only thing Blu-ray has is a digipack from
It is on, well, it is
2013.
on. I see Criterion did do a version, so for right now, that looks like it's probably the best one.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer's right around here.
You have
Depends
to do
on
him
which
in his
role.
Tombstone accent, Wyatt.
Yeah, Daisy, if you do.
I have 2 guns, one for each of
both
you.
of you. I love that. We just talked about Tombstone last night. All right, let's go back up here and see what else we got for questions. Did you get to see Rocky 4? Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, I remember we talked a little bit about that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a setup. But yeah, were you as impressed as I was? I said, it sounded like you were a little bit more impressed than I was anyway, I would say.
I liked it. I mean, look, I was always a fan of the 4 Rocky films and you know, the newer one, Rocky Balboa. The 5th one I never discuss. So, that's the one
I actually stood up for it the other night.
Tommy the Machine Gun. Yeah. Now I didn't really get into that one, but I did like this newer version of 4. We got a little bit more with Apollo and a little bit more of a setup from that standpoint. I mean, it wasn't like it was radically different in my mind. It just gave a little bit more weight to the beginning before they jumped into the, you know, the fight with him and Drago right off the bat. So I did like it, and you know, so, hey, that was $20 well spent. I'm always going to support the Rocky films. Stallone did it again, you know, so gotta support the guy.
Hey yo.
No,
I mean, it's not like I hate it. I mean, I got a lot of flack for my fucking review, but it's like, it's the same movie almost, but it's missing a half hour. They're like, oh, but it's all these alternate takes. It's like, yeah, but alternate takes don't make an alternate movie unless it's like a very big difference.
It's like I said, it was just, I appreciated it. I liked how I thought it especially striking with the second ending that they shot, that we got to see that. You know, where instead of, you know, like in the original film, I always thought it was kind of stupid because you've got the guy who's playing Gorbachev effectively. They're all kind of standing up and clapping with the crowd nervously. And it's like the Politburo wouldn't. No. Like,
I mean, there's
I like the ending on this where they get pissed off, they get up and they storm out.
I mean,
you know,
I'm kind of with Andre though. He hasn't seen it yet, but he's like, so basically, you know, it'd be better if some fan cuts all the footage that was added to this version into the other version. I said yes. I said because you also hit a point where 2/3 of the movie is exactly the same. Like it's not even like cut differently.
Well,
like,
it's not radical. No, it's not a radical.
The montages and all that stuff are all the original cuts.
Oh yeah, it's all the same. It's mostly what it is, folks. Is there's more stuff at the beginning, and the ending's a little bit different.
It's missing all the robot stuff, which to me I feel like is a detriment overall because there's important stuff in those scenes that gets excised now. The kid is almost completely gone.
Yes, and well, I think the whole idea of the story was to more focus on just the Rocky and Drago part and the Apollo part, and kind of look, the goofy robot thing from the original version. I'm like, okay, that was a part of the movie that kind of annoyed me.
Here's what bothers me with that is he could have worked around that. You could have left the robot in, but either do a different voice and cut out the pervy shit.
I agree.
And you could have worked around it because there's important stuff in there. Because I love all the added stuff that was there.
Well, they took out the whole part where he goes in and it's like his accountant scammed him.
There's all kinds of shit that they're missing in them bit, especially between Apollo and Rocky and them building up to the whole idea of Rocky doing this. And they kind of have some of it still there with the added scene with that I did like with, between Rocky and Adrian. But like what you don't get though is all the other family dynamic stuff. And it is like the kid is non-existent. The kid is like to the point where they even cut the line at the end to the kid. And I mean, again, it's like it's so the only thing that I really got out of it aside from the extra stuff we got with Apollo is that Rocky actually gave up his belt to do this fight, and that was I felt was very poignant. But otherwise, a lot of the other stuff just is stuff that we already kind of got from the other film, and I felt the other film handled better, and I didn't really understand cropping it to 2:35 for some reason.
Yeah, I think
He wants to make it look more cinematic, but it's not more in line with the other films.
Well, I grant you that, but I think the reason he did it was so that it would be more visually distinguished from the original cut version. And that was
could
what I
be
took
the case,
from it.
but it feels boxed into me.
I get you.
It feels like a pan and scan, but it's the opposite. You know what I mean?
We talked about this before. I mean, why did Snyder inexplicably do what he did with his cut in terms of the
the difference there, though, is I understand because Snyder was actually showing more.
He was trying to bring that in, but it also
Sly is
gave
actually taking away half the screen.
Yeah, but I know I think it was just more about he wanted a visual differential between.
And it would have been different if he went back to the original 35 and like zoomed out a little bit and blew it up a little bit more. You could gain a little bit more on the sides and not lose as much on the top. But I'm assuming that they didn't have any more, or he would have done that. Because to me, again, I get it, it's an artistic choice, and it's probably one of the minorest gripes. But hopefully this is just a sign that we're getting a new box set, because I know the first film is in 4K. But it's not released on disc yet. And of course, Creed and Creed 2 are.
Yep.
But none of the other films are mastered in 4K that I know of. So obviously part 4 should be. Obviously, if they did this version in 4K, it has to be.
Exactly.
And some of these, and that's the thing, is some of this I can tell just by watching it. Some of it comes from the negative, and some of it just comes from an inner positive. So, and that's all the stuff that's recarried back over from the other Rocky 4.
Yes. Yeah, and that would make sense. I mean, you don't have to reinvent the wheel here, but they do have to go back and try to get a better version of this footage that we've never had before in the film, and try to find the best they could. And that's probably where the best they had probably was an interpositive.
Well, I'm assuming they'd let him do this probably because they are scanning the films for a 4K box set.
That's what I was. Yeah, that was gonna be my next comment. But exactly. And it only makes sense.
And as Simon Parkin here says, Rocky 5 is the movie that does need the better cut, and there is a better cut out there, but Sly didn't direct it, and sadly, the director is no longer with us. That's one of the only films of the Rocky series he didn't direct. The first and fifth film are directed by John G. Avildsen, who went on, of course, to make the Karate Kid series. He directed the first and fifth film, and that's probably the only reason he dare not touch it. And to be honest with you, I kind of am on two minds of that. It's like, if they can locate, which I know it's out there, it's in digital land somewhere, a really crappy VHS rough cut of the original version where there is more scenes and it is a bit, better. If they could find that and go by that as a guide, then go for it. But other than that, you have a hard to me, it's really difficult to do a recut without the director. It's unless you know something they intended, right?
Like I said, it's I didn't hate Rocky 5, just so everybody understands. I didn't hate the movie, but it just out of the original 5, before we had that long break before Rocky Balboa, it was my least favorite of the bunch.
I do like the theatrical version better. I do. Now
on
Valiant
Rocky 4?
On Rocky 4, yes.
Yeah.
I don't. You sound like you like the newer version a little bit.
I don't know. No, I wouldn't say I like it better. I think it's different. I like it. I like it probably the same as I like the theatrical versions. I just have different reasons why I like each one. And I think for a lot of the points that you brought up, like I said, I didn't look at this and go, "Oh my God, it was so much better than the original." I think my comment to you was, "No, I really enjoyed it," and that was it. It was a different take. There were some things that I liked more because of the Apollo Creed stuff. I did appreciate that, and it was a more focused movie on just Rocky avenging his friend.
My other
basically.
problem is I brought up is I'm curious if somebody who's never seen the film before will get the same experience, because it almost feels like you had to have seen the theatrical cut to enjoy this version, because like if you don't, because there's so much missing from it, like I almost feel like you have to have known this stuff.
Exactly. I think if you've never seen Rocky 4 and your first experience is watching this new version, I don't think you're going to walk away disappointed at all. But if you've seen the original version, like Tom is talking about, and there's all these elements that were missing, and that jumped out at me as well. I'm like, hey, there's no robot scene. There's no Rocky loses all of his money and all this kind of stuff. But it's the way they focused the narrative into this just right on this thing with Apollo and Rocky and taking out Drago, and they kind of trimmed all this. I think, like Tom said, there's a lot of good things to have in there in terms of the family element, the family dynamic, and all that stuff that happened, which I liked. I didn't dislike it. This is a different take. I like it. but not more so than the original. Let me put it that way.
No, I don't hate it, but I compared it to like Godfather Coda. Like it wasn't really necessary, and it doesn't really do anything
Yeah.
to change the movie overall. Is it a better version? That's debatable. Like I would actually argue that the Godfather Coda is probably a better cut of Godfather 3 than this is a cut of Rocky 4. That's my problem. But see, I didn't have the problems with Rocky 4 that I had with Godfather 3 to begin with.
That was gonna be my next point. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the other problem with all three, the first 4 Rocky films is they're already damn near perfect to begin with, so they really didn't require any upgrades. I mean,
and that was the thing with Coda. They were trying to fix things
yeah.
that people had long complained about with Godfather 3 for decades.
Which he really didn't fix. All he did was make Godfather 3 feel more like the first film. He just recut the movie to feel more like the first film in sequences and in tone and in the way it just kind of tracks, because otherwise the movie it's all there. He doesn't really add much. The subtraction part, he doesn't really take all that much away either. In the Godfather one, it's just like, yeah, it's kind of like this. It reminds me of just kind of like this little experiment that the director wanted to do. And I have no problem with that as long as the original is available, right? And again, I never have a problem with somebody doing that, but I always have an issue when somebody's doing a new cut and they take shit away, right? Unless there's some good reason for it, I don't understand. Like the only example I can think of right away is like the Donner cut, right? Because clearly there was entire sequences that were extremely different from the other version. So clearly you're gonna have to get rid of that other shit, and gladly, because if that's even a word, gladly, because a lot of that shit I didn't care for as much. Because that was one thing the Donner cut did improve on it for the most part. But yeah, you very rarely get those kind of cases. Are you going to get another version that's vastly different than the original? It's not often. And I noticed some people it can feel very different, but to me it just didn't. I mean, I guess maybe it's because I'm used to seeing so many movies in different versions that unless something's massively different to me, it doesn't stand out. Because that's where a lot of people in the comments are like, "Oh, what do you mean it's this different take and it's that different take?" And it's like, yeah, but is it really that different?
Well, but it's going to appeal to different people differently is the bottom line. And again, it's how many folks have they remember Rocky 1, maybe Rocky 2, but then they really don't remember the films that came after that. And so they have this new version of Rocky 4 come out, and they have probably little memory of the original one. And this, like I said, they're looking at this. Hey,
this I know Rocky 4 is one of the more popular ones, and that's another reason why I think they let him do it.
Yeah.
Because they knew that would be the one to sell more videos on its own besides the first film.
Yeah, and I'd love to know how many sales they got at $19, this past weekend or week since.
Oh, they got $14.99 out of my ass.
Yeah, or was it 14? I don't remember.
Yeah, $14.99 for the 4K HD, which isn't bad. I mean, it's still digital though, which is kind of meh, but it looks pretty good.
But you're never going to get a hard copy of that.
We might. That's what I'm hoping for. Is we're going to get some massive Rocky box set next year, which would be nice, or the year after.
I don't know, but would they put that version that they just did expressly for PVOD? I don't know. Maybe they would.
No, they'll put it in there. Like that's my point. Is they'll do a box set, but they'll only release Rocky and Rocky 4 as standalone editions. Get what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
Because those are the two higher sellers of the 6 films. So. I mean, they may do the first 2 or 3, maybe, but I doubt it. It'll just be probably 1 and 4 they'll release individually. And then if you want all the films, you'll have to buy the big box set, I bet.
Right. Which, I mean, I think I have. God, I bought so many versions of Rocky over the years. Pretty sure I have. I know I have the Blu-ray.
I have managed to, because the Blu-rays, they've just re-released and re-released and re-released the same versions over and over. I've bought more versions of Rocky on DVD than I did on Blu-ray. Because the initial box set I got at DVDs was like, most of them are like letterboxed, but not 16:9. And then they did a new box set, and then they did a special edition of Rocky for the 40th anniversary, which had a shit ton of special features on it. And then they did the Blu-ray box set.
Yeah, that's the one I have, is the Undisputed Collection or whatever it is.
So it's probably the same one I had. And I got the one that they did before Rocky Balboa, and then. Or maybe does mine have Rocky Balboa in it? Oh, wait, mine does have Rocky Balboa in it. Okay. Yeah. So I have one of them anyway. But yeah, they've always been the same Blu-rays, just re-released and re-released and re-released again and again and again.
Yep.
They've never remastered them since then. And that was clear back probably 2007 because it would have been for the 40th anniversary. I think it says on the box.
For which version?
The one I have, I think, is the 40th anniversary.
Oh yeah, I
version.
know that. Yeah, I know the Undisputed Collection came out. It was 2000. Let me look it up.
That might be the 45th anniversary one then.
Yeah, 2009.
Or was it 2009? Maybe that's the same one.
Well, that had all 6 of them in there because that was before the whole Creed stuff started.
Yeah, that's the one I have. It's just before the Creed stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's 09.
Okay, that's as far as I know. That's the same box set they keep releasing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they have not put a 4K version out to my knowledge anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and man, it was just kind of. It wasn't even an extended cut. It was actually shorter than the other version. There's actually 3 versions of Godfather 3, and chances are most of us have never seen the original version because the theatrical cut has never been released on video. Because Francis messed with it before it came to video, and the version we've always had on video has been the home video version. He added a few scenes back into it because he already kind of started tinkering with it back then, and then now the version we got now is technically the 3rd version of it. So I'm curious if we get all 3 versions of that film. It'd be interesting, but I think the other version is just a little shorter because he added, I think, like 2 scenes to it for the home video version because to help things make sense or whatever. God, I vaguely remember that from so long ago because if you noticed way back when it was released, it says like special home video edition or something like that on the original releases of it.
Yeah,
because he added like 5 minutes to it or whatever. He may have cut something else out too. I don't remember what, but like
it's been a while since I've watched it. I like I said, and
I don't hate Godfather 3, but
I don't either. It's just it's like everything. It's the least favorite of the bunch. You know.
Well, my main issue is the cousin love and shit. It's pointless. I mean, and you can't get rid of it, unfortunately, because it's so tied to the plot.
Yeah.
That you can't even cut around it. And it should have just been, he shouldn't have been, well, the whole thing is he shouldn't have been Sonny's son is what it should have been. It just should have been somebody else's son or even Tom Hagen's son for that fucking matter.
Well, they try to tie it back into that scene from the first Godfather movie where James
is
banging the bridesmaid.
Oh, it's dumb. That is some, like, come on, Francis, you're better than this. And then it's even creepier because you got your daughter playing the part, even though we know it's supposed to be Winona Ryder originally, which would have been a much better choice. But anyhow, that's a totally different conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, the remastered versions we have already technically out there on Blu-ray, but they're so old Blu-rays that yeah, the 4Ks are going to look so much better when we get them.
It's going to be a significant
because I know the difference because look at the difference between if you have the old version of the Outsiders compared to the new scan, it's amazing or new release. They're all from the same scan, but
yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're going to wrap this up then, kids. I didn't see any more questions or here we got one more.
I was going to say, yeah, this look,
which is
this
the best
director what movies do you like?
Blu-ray 4K out there. Oh, I wish the Donner cut was in 4K. I don't think it ever will be.
Yeah. I mean, look, I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the extended edition.
That's probably that's the easy choice.
Because there's even more stuff on the 4K in the extended editions than there was in the Blu-ray box set extended editions. Like more scenes. Like there's camera shots and there's lines delivered in there, and I know those movies pretty damn well. They are not in the Blu-ray because I've watched the Blu-rays a bajillion times. And when I got the 4K, I started watching right from the start, Fellowship on through, and I'm like, I don't remember that shot. I don't remember
know anything about him adding anything, but I haven't watched him yet either.
It's little stuff. It's subtle, but I kept watching it like I don't remember this ever. So, but those are great. And they look great. They look amazing.
This is a tough question because there's not nearly as many 4K releases as there are Blu-ray releases.
Yeah.
And as far as like Blade Runner, the only version you can get in 4K is the final cut. I
don't think they released like the 8 version set.
No, the other versions are just in Blu-ray and DVD.
Yeah. So that's what I have the Blu-ray version of that where you got 5, 6, 7, 8 different cuts in there, or whatever.
Yeah, like most of the cuts are in HD, but then there's like a couple of them that are from rough work prints that are only in standard def. I think like the one cut is, but
yeah, RoboCop 4K, no kidding.
That'd be nice.
Gimme, please, and not the new version,
but
original.
That's a tough question.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
can't.
usually a fan of director's cuts. Very rarely.
I'm trying to think of what I have sitting around in 4K.
Because most of the time, a
director's cuts.
theatrical cut manages to do what they have, work best with what they have.
Yeah.
A lot of times, director's cuts are just the director being overindulgent.
Mhm. I
So,
shot all this stuff. It should go in there.
outside of like the Lord of the Rings, which is one of the rare ones because he shot it that way on purpose, right? Like it was meant to be two different versions. Aliens, if they would bring it out on 4K, would probably damn near take that spot because
that I was gonna say, 'cause
version,
I have that on Blu-ray, and that James Cameron, that director's cut,
I
I
love
thought,
that director's
yes,
cut.
that is the freaking hallway scene with the guns and all that. When that was taken out for the theatrical version, and then you had all the stuff in the beginning with the Wayland Uteni Corp, and the kids were on the tricycle riding through the hallway with the
Right.
Wayland Uteni bike, and I was like, that's great. I was like, what? But I understand it's because just like Lord of the Rings, you're talking about, movies that were already pushing up against a 2.5, 3 hour mark in the theaters, which theaters freaking hate. And there was stuff that, they wanted to keep the story elements in there that they had created from the books. And it was always kind of known, like Tom said, that this is gonna wind up eventually just making it onto an extended cut.
They shot the Lord of the Rings knowing he was going to get extended cuts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was part of it because it's like, look, and that's why people said, why didn't you put out the extended cuts right away? No, because they wanted to make more money. So every time they release a box set of Lord of the Rings, first DVD, then Blu-ray, then 4K, they always put out theatrical cuts first. They gave those 6 months or a year of breathing room. Then they came back in with the extended cuts.
They use those to help promote.
Because people like me couldn't wait and bought every fucking version that came out.
Of course we did.
Take my money, take my money, take my money.
And then Kevin Street, I agree with you. In most cases, I'd say James Cameron, although I don't like any of his latter films here, anything since Titanic I have not liked. His director's cuts tend to be better because he's one of those, like Valiant was saying, he's somebody who's running up against a clock, and a lot of his movies are already clocking in at 2.5 hours. So, a lot of times his edits have more to do with time. Like that's the thing. If an edit has more to do with time than it has to do with, the film being what it should be, like, that's a little different. Because then you can tend to get some really good, juicy shit in there. I mean, but again, I'm a fan of those things. I love extended cuts. I love to check them out. I love having all the deleted scenes added back in.
Me too.
And in most cases, I will tend to generally watch a director's cut. But 9 times out of 10, I'm hard pressed to say, like, yeah, that made the movie infinitely better. It's either just as good, or in some cases, it even ruins the movie, or not so much ruins it, but
it
makes
breaks
it
the
less.
Pacing.
It breaks the pacing, or it's unnecessary. Like one of my examples I go to first and foremost is always the Dumb and Dumber director extended cut, which is the only one that's available on Blu-ray. And the stuff they added to that, in my opinion,
I don't
ruined
know.
the
I don't
movie.
know if I've seen it.
It's a lot of the jokes were unrated versions of the jokes, and then they added a whole nother subplot that was kind of pointless, and that's why it was cut out. That's what I'm saying. Like when you're sitting there watching, you're like, yeah, I can see why they cut this out. Them are the ones I have a problem with.
Yeah.
And as an editor, I'm constantly looking at shit like that. It's like, you could have got rid of that. You could have got rid of that. You could have got rid of that and saved me 15 minutes of my fucking life. Because especially in a movie that sucks and you see all this ancillary shit, like one of those movies that'll drive an editor nuts is watch Ghostbusters Answer the Call. Like, because you're just like, why are we lingering on this shit? Like, that's not funny. I'll cut this scene. By the time we're done, the movie will only be 15 minutes long. So,
and that's why you need a good editor.
Exactly. So
I see a lot of people bringing up
more is not better.
Yeah. And I see a lot of people bringing up The Abyss. And yeah, don't we all, guys, we couldn't even get a Blu-ray release of The Abyss. Do you realize that? There has been nothing from The Abyss since the Laserdisc. I don't even know if The Abyss made it to DVD. I don't remember.
It is on DVD, but I think it's a Laserdisc rip or some shit like that.
Yeah, I have the original, I have the best copy of that ever made it to the home market was the CAV Laserdisc, which is you only have, instead of 1 hour per side of the disc, you have 30 minutes, meaning it's much less compressed. That is the best looking thing you
And you
will
can do
see
the
of
still
the Abyss.
images and shit.
Yeah, that is the best looking thing
Frame
you will
by
see of the
frame.
Abyss. And that was put out 30 years
Now
ago,
maybe
25
Fox
years ago.
did do. I don't know if they did a 16:9 enhanced version or not, but like, yeah, it's. They need to lock James Cameron down for like a month, and be like, "You're not getting out of these rooms until you sign off on each and every one of your films."
Yeah.
Because
Even if it just give me Aliens and the Abyss and I'll be happy.
well, all of them need an overhaul.
No,
That's part of the problem with
but it's
Terminator
like,
2.
well, yeah,
is
that'd be another one.
because the version he signed, this is the problem we have with the upcoming 4K Blu-ray that we talked about.
Yeah.
It's since the last version he signed off on was that fucking scrubbed 3D version. That's the only version they can technically release.
Yep.
So until he goes in and re-signs off on a new 4K master of it, that's the one we're going to get. And it's going to be the same case for everything else.
I'd be tempted if I'm the studio at that point. It's like, look, we're going to scan this sucker. We're going to put it back together, and then we're going to show him, look, it's done. It's done. It's sitting here. It's ready to go.
Get in here and sign off on a color timing already.
Look how amazing it looks. Or
the sound,
you could get the scans done and get all the sound done. And then it's like, look, if you want to come in and give us, put your stamp of approval.
Well, that's the rumors.
The
there's been a 4K master of True Lies and Abyss sitting there waiting for him to sign off on since like 2006 that he has not gotten to or some shit. And that already means they're out of date. They're way out of date.
Oh, big time. Big time. They're worthless now. I mean,
I guess Fox did get some use out of them for cable. Because I guess there is
that's probably about
out there.
Yeah, that's probably about it. They were used for television, but as far as and maybe some streaming, but as far as anything
there
else,
is bootleg Blu-rays out there of True Lies and Abyss out there, but they're from what I know, the broadcast HD versions, which at best are you lucky is 720p.
Oh, yeah, if you're lucky.
Because by the time you get through all the compression shit and it's all
depending on what you're recording,
especially with all the compression talk this week.
Yes,
that's been the last day.
Oh my god, yeah, I know. I was watching.
Did you watch some of that?
I'm laughing myself to death.
Like, how do these idiots not understand? And then they're like, I'm sitting here screaming in Ricada's chat. I'm like, if they're watching it on anything but a computer monitor, it has motion smoothness on it. Turn it off. Right there, you have another element adding shit. And they're sitting there arguing about it that day. We're all screaming. All those tech heads are like, are you fucking kidding me? The average video you watch goes through 10 goddamn filters if you don't turn it off.
Yeah, exactly. And I even made a comment on Twitter with him. I'm like, yeah, okay, you downloaded the file and it changed the file name. That's what you're saying? My 81-year-old mother knows better than that.
Well, the funny part was when he said, oh, she should have known it wasn't the right one. It's like, you said it yourself that you noticed that it changed the file name, but you didn't tell nobody, you dumbass.
I know we don't want to get off. We didn't want to get into that,
but yeah,
I know. But
just from the techie side of things,
exactly. It was all tech.
Are you
today.
fucking kidding me?
And yeah, I'm listening to it while I'm at work, and I'm like, oh, God, come on, really?
Anybody who knows anything in just the cursory terms of digital video is like, are you fucking insane, man? You cannot trust digital video. No. It's not film. You can't even really trust video because it's so fuzzy.
And the prosecutor had a freaking he had a compression software on his computer.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know how this happened. And then a screenshot of as he's navigating to the file. Lo and behold, here's his compression software sitting in the menu.
Oops.
Like, what the fuck?
Whoopsie.
Oh God. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that, like we said, but yes, more HDR, less grain. Well, no, we want grain. Grain is good. Grain is our friend. But you don't want
healthy, natural grain.
Natural grain, yes.
Yes, indeed.
I want to see it.
Yep. Yeah, because
and that's the best part about 4K is it makes it a lot less distracting.
You can clean it without erasing it, because when you erase the film grain, you also erase details.
Yes, as we got into.
And yeah, so when you do digital noise reduction, yeah, you get rid of the fuzzies and the grainies, but you also get rid of skin, pores, hairs, depth and definition and detail that's naturally there. You have to take the grain with the detail. You can't wipe out one without wiping the other.
But yeah, I really have a hard time answering that last question about the favorite director cut on 4K, because I wish I could say I like the director's cut of The Outsiders. Actually, I guess like The Outsiders would probably be, that's the one I guess I would have to say right now. Between that or maybe Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Between those two, because those are there's movies like Francis Ford Coppola, like that's the thing, is you're talking about a guy who has to cut shit out for time. That's why I love the Godfather, whatever it was called. I can't remember what it's called. But like
You're
when
talking about the chronological cut.
Yeah, is that what it's called? The
I don't. Well, I know that's the name.
I don't remember. It has a name because
it does. I don't remember what it is.
I can't remember what it's
called. But I know what you're talking
either.
about. Yeah.
But like, I love that version of those two films cut together in chronological order with all that added bonus stuff. It's like
it's great.
10-course meal.
Yeah.
10-course Italian meal. And it's just like every bit is as good as the last.
Yep.
And I don't mind it being cut out of order either. That's one of the few random times I'll be like, no. I like it this way. Like it builds itself better. Not that I mind the way that the original two films are cut, but specifically, I'm not as much. I know this is going to be sacrilege, but I actually like the first Godfather film a little bit, if not much more than the second film, because of that, because of the intercutting of the two stories. To me, kind of fucks with the pacing. So like when you see it in its chronological form, it really makes that second half of that story clip along much better, at a much better pace. And it's nicer to have the connection there between the young Corleone fading into the older Corleone kind of thing. And it really works real nicely with that scene, specifically in the first scene of The Godfather where he's still in the dark, because it really builds it up, right? Like, because like if you've never seen these movies before and you see it in that way, this is the first time you're seeing old Godfather since you've seen him as young, Robert De Niro version.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look, I agree. I love that chronological cut, whatever they call it. And I hope we see
somebody out there knows what it's called, but I can't remember.
I can't either.
It was the version they showed on TV for years, and then HBO was showing it.
Every time it'd come on TV, I'd be like, watching. I was done for 5 hours at that point. I'm sitting on the couch.
Is it like The Complete Story or something like that? I think it's called
something like that. Yeah,
because it was put together years before 3 was even a thought.
Yeah. It's been around a good long time. So, any case. Well, what you say,
with
man?
That, I think we're gonna wrap her up. We got 90 minutes in. We've had almost 200 people watching. We appreciate you guys coming back every week to the show. Please hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to Midnight's Edge or Midnight's Edge After Dark or Valiant Renegade, please do so. All the links are here. You can hit subscribe right here on the channel, or the other links for Midnight's Edge After Dark and Valiant Renegade are in the description, of course. And Valiant Renegade does stuff almost daily over on his channel, if not pretty much daily at this point.
I'd say my goal is to try to get 2 or 3 out a week.
I'm gonna say you get pretty close to daily. And be sure to check out Mead Radio. Oh, the Godfather Saga. Is that what it's called?
Is that what it is? I didn't remember that name.
I didn't think it was called that. I thought that was just the box set name. The Complete Saga. That sounds more like it, maybe.
Maybe so.
Because I know Complete is in the title for some reason.
Yeah, something like that. That's why I keep thinking I was just always call it the chronological saga, because that's what it is. But I couldn't remember.
I can't wait if that's the case. I hope he does that.
Oh God, that'd be so good. I'd love it.
And considering how he's treated his other films, I would not be surprised. This is the one that's going to get all the love. Yep. So, all right. When Duck Nation says we did a good show, so does Bayona Rad. So thank you so much, guys. We appreciate you guys being here every week. You guys make this happen. Be sure to keep your questions coming for next time. We'll get some more. Hopefully we'll get some more guests in here too. I'm working on that. So we appreciate you guys being here. Take care of yourselves and each other. See you over on Latino Slant here in a little bit, and later on Fanzine's channel, where we'll be talking some more physical media stuff there as well. Take care, everybody.